Tomorrow, when India take on Zimbabwe, there is going to be massive pressure. We all are wondering why India-Zimbabwe is so high profile. For one simple reason. One loss that India have had against South Africa and potentially with West Indies and South Africa all set to go through if certain results go their way. Everything is on this match. And also on March 1 against West Indies. Now, today there was an optional practice session, but Sitanshu Kotak came for that press conference at 3 p.m. Now, in that 19-minute press conference that was there, lots was said. There are changes being demanded. There is pressure over Rinku Singh. There is pressure over Tilak, Varma and Abhishek Sharma. Is Sanju going to come back in? Sitanshu Kotak gave all those answers. And the first major answer, is there going to be a change in the top order? Because remember, India have gotten 3 left-handers. But now oppositions are figuring that yes, we'll bowl off spinners at them. It worked against South Africa. Now, the major thing about the team composition is that thinking of the top 3 left-handers and oppositions bowling off spin, now that we have lost openers early in 3 matches, we are talking about it. So that means Sanju Samson could return into the Indian team. This is a huge indication. There will be changes, which is what Sitanshu Kotak has mentioned at this point in time. So, thinking of the top 3 left-handers, now there might be a change and the batting order might be shuffled around a bit. There are 2 obvious changes, but will one be so obvious? But what if you struggle on black soil wickets? Because remember, in Ahmedabad, it was a black soil wicket. In most of the places except Mumbai, there most of the pitches were black soil wickets. Delhi was black soil. Now, do India struggle on black soil wickets? Because Kotak mentioned, don't think we struggle on black soil. If pitches become slow in T20, batting becomes a struggle. If there's a collapse, we can't blame the surface. Absolutely. A surface should be the last thing that should be ever criticized. Yes, if it's an absolute minefield, it's a lottery. If it's a sandpit, it's a lottery. India have been on the wrong end of that for quite some time, which is why that strategy is always backfired. Now, about Rinku Singh. We have already done the live that Rinku Singh is going to be back, but then he reiterated, Rinku Singh is coming back today evening. His father was not well. He went back. Hopefully, he will join us today. So remember, India have a practice session now until 6 o'clock. Now, at this point in time, it's very important to understand that even Rinku has been struggling for form. He potentially gets 2 more games, or maybe 3 or 4. But India's semi-final hopes are hanging by a thread, and that is why are they worried about it? Because the one major factor that has gone against this Indian cricket team was the form of the batters. In bilaterals, we are chasing 150 in 15 overs. In 10 overs, 250 was being notched, 270 was being notched. Bilaterals, when the Indian cricket team got their own curators to prepare the surface, they just wreaked havoc. But now, under ICC, the pitches have been somewhat competitive. Now they are finding out in a very hard way, because Kotak has mentioned during bilaterals batting was clicking. Last game the batting was concerning. I am not looking at individual failures. It's the worst game we have played in 2 years. Openers haven't clicked either. Now remember, in this whole 2-year period of dominance, there were games in which you looked pedestrian, but it didn't hurt you because it was a bilateral series. But here, are we going to go the 2012 way? Because in the 2012 edition, let us make one thing clear. India just missed out because of that one huge loss that they had against Australia in Colombo. They didn't make it to the semi-finals then. Here, they should win by big margins against Zimbabwe and West Indies. But remember the situation. If West Indies beat South Africa and South Africa beat Zimbabwe, looking at the net run rate that they have amassed, India will have to win by a huge margin against the West Indies. This is the equation that we are looking at this point in time. So yes, the one bad game that had to happen in these 2 years came unfortunately in Ahmedabad, and that was when the streak ended. On the other hand, when Abhishek didn't start at the nets, there was a buzz in Chepauk that maybe Sanju Samson is going to come in. It will be Sanju and Ishan. Abhishek might go down to number 3 because he can tackle spin very well. But Sitanshu Kotak was quick to dispel that. He said, during the nets, Abhishek doesn't start. He usually bats as part of the second or third pair. Sanju Samson will always bat normally. Sanju is third opener and is a keeper. So he bats anywhere. Now, Abhishek has got a set pattern, and you would remember even in the Namibia game, I had mentioned that yes, there is a thing that Abhishek is coming to bat later. He didn't come out to bat in the first practice session because he had an upset stomach. He didn't practice at all. But then prior to that and even after that, he did practice in somewhat different pairs. And that is why Sanju Samson at this point in time, he's just batting to ensure that he's there as a backup in case there is changes. So, the other major question, Tilak Varma's anchor role. Now, is that hurting India? Abhishek's poor form has compounded the situation even further. But Sitanshu Kotak is saying he's not worried about it. He says, no issues with how Tilak is batting. For him, it is just a matter of a couple of boundaries that he hits in order to get a strike rate going. He batted well against Pakistan. There's no concern about his run-a-ball innings. There is no tension regarding Abhishek Tilak. There is no tension regarding Abhishek and Tilak. That is what the Indian team management want to portray themselves. They will say it in public, oh, we aren't panicking. It's bound to happen. But within they realize that it is a source of panic. Because there are major changes being pondered about. Left, right, left, right. Is that the way to go forward? That's what Sitanshu Kotak mentioned. Don't think we need to change too many things. Left-right combination or the bowling combination are the kinds of things we are thinking of. We are trying to reinforce good opening starts. Good opening start is really, really key. So, will India go with left-right, left-right? That is the thing that we have to look at this point in time. So, India are really, really hoping that whatever changes they make, it will get their campaign back on track. But is the campaign already off the tracks? Because remember, one heavy loss is enough for any opponent to go out of the tournament. So that is why, for India's sake, tomorrow's game, West Indies, South Africa, West Indies should not win. South Africa should win, then South Africa will qualify. India then could be the second place team. It's a direct shootout then between India and West Indies in Kolkata. So, will India make those wholesale changes? Is Sanju Samson coming back in? That is the one thing that we have to look at this point in time. Now, suddenly Sanju is the messiah, but it's against Zimbabwe. Let's make one thing very clear here. Against Zimbabwe, Sanju Samson might come in, but against the West Indies, it will be very interesting to see how it unfolds. So, changes galore, no tensions about Abhishek and Tilak, but what do you think? Is the Indian team panicking? You can write to us in the comments below. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this video. Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news and analysis.